Are old cartoons better than new cartoons? If you ask anybody this question who isn't a snot-nosed toddler, they would say, of course, old cartoons are better. That's like comparing Amy Schumer to Kevin Hart. That's just a silly thing to even think about. But the only reason I bring this up in the first place is because I recently seen this question posed on Twitter. And normally, I don't take anything I see on Twitter seriously, because if I did, I would think that teabagging somebody in a video game was the same as sexually assaulting that person in real life. Yes, that is a real debate they had on Twitter. But normally, I just hop on there to laugh at people and then continue about my business. But this question, it stuck with me because it's not the first time that I've been asked that question. And I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard this question either. It's a topic that's constantly argued, people wondering if their childhood cartoons are actually better than new cartoons, or if they're just full of copium like an old fart who can't let go of the past. You know, someone who just constantly looks back on the past with rose-tinted glasses and can't live in the present. So today I'm going to be putting my floaties on one arm at a time and then diving into this question to figure out, hopefully, once and for all, if old cartoons really are better than new cartoons. And how I plan to do that is by watching an unholy amount of cartoons, which I have already done, and I can't say I regret my time doing it. I'm not going to act like I didn't have fun. And my research consisted of watching a wide array of cartoons, all the way back to the black and white era of Mickey Mouse whistling on a boat, to the new era of spin-offs and new series that are still being created on like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. But before we get into the debate, I want to let you know what side of the fence I stand on, so you can call me out if I start being too biased or whatever. I am on the side of the fence that says old cartoons are far superior to new cartoons. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about this. So, the main debate against old cartoons being better than new cartoons is that we're looking at them with nostalgia in mind. You know, rose-tinted glasses or whatever. You're only thinking they're good because you watched them in your childhood, and that's what makes them seem good, because you grew up with them and you only have good memories surrounding the shows. And to that, I say, yes, that obviously plays a part of it to some extent. Naturally, you're gonna have good feelings towards something that feels nostalgic, but at the same time, I went back and watched old cartoons that were before my time that my parents watched and say that they like more than my cartoons that I grew up with, like Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and whatnot. I went back and watched those old cartoons that I did not grow up with, and I enjoyed them just as much, if not maybe even more, than some of the cartoons that I grew up watching. Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes, just to name a couple, are funny. Like, they stand up to this day. They pass the test of time. And I enjoyed watching them as a 19-year-old semi-adult, you know? They were just super fun to watch. The wackiness that was unfolding on screen really made me enjoy my time watching them. So that argument that you're looking at them through rose-tinted nostalgia glasses, no, I don't have a nostalgia boner for these shows because I didn't watch them growing up. And seeing them now, I still think they're leaps and bounds better than new cartoons. And now to talk about the cartoons that I grew up with, I didn't enjoy all of them when I went back and watched them. Some of them felt very, you know, they felt like they belong in that time. They don't feel like they held up to this day. But then most of them did. For example, Courage the Cowardly Dog, an absolutely amazing show. Probably my favorite TV show ever, my favorite piece of media that I've ever watched. I loved it when I was little, and I love it even now. I go back and watch it very regularly because it's just a good show, objectively. But to stop dick-riding the old cartoons and the cartoons that I grew up with for a moment, new cartoons have some bangers as well. Objectively, not as many bangers, but they do have some. You know, like Amazing World of Gumball is the first one that comes to mind. That is what I classify as a newer cartoon, and it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. You know, not as much as the older cartoons, but it's still good, you know? It's not bad in any way. Honestly, the only reason I think this debate exists in the first place is because people like to stand out and be different from the rest online, or maybe they just like to wreak havoc. I'm sure it's a little bit of both, but the argument is just kind of dumb in the first place. Yes, obviously, there is going to be nostalgia involved when it comes to you looking back on these shows because you have fond memories from your childhood of watching these shows. But then going back and watching older shows than what I grew up with and realizing, yes, they're good shows, it just kind of nullifies that argument that some people stand so firmly on. Like, they will die on that hill. I have seen so many arguments of people saying, are the shows really good, or are you just growing old and not wanting to let go of the past and thinking that it's good because you just grew up with it? No, it's because new cartoons suck. Objectively, most of them suck because all new cartoons are spin-offs and reinventings of old cartoons that never go as well as the original. Just to name a few, you have Teen Titans Go, which is a good show, but it's not as good as Teen Titans. And then you have that new Patrick Star show that is just horrible. And then Camp SpongeBob or whatever it is when they're little. Not good. Not near as good as SpongeBob. And the list goes on and on. You can go to Cartoon Network. You got Total Drama Island, and they just released Total Drama Rama, which is them as little kids, which sucks. It's horrible, not near as good as Total Drama Island. It honestly just baffles me that people think new cartoons could even stand close enough to old cartoons to sniff their farts. I don't think they're even in the same league. I don't think they're near each other, for the most part. You know, there's always some examples. Some old cartoons are going to be bad, some new cartoons are going to be better, but an overwhelming majority of older cartoons are just better than new cartoons. And I think the main reason for that is that every new cartoon is trying to be very catered towards children, like Coco Melanified. They're just making it super children oriented. Like, for example, Dora. That was around during when I was little, and I stopped watching that whenever I was like 3 or 4, my parents said, because that's right around when I developed object permanence and spawned into my body. So whenever I got consciousness, I stopped watching that show because all Dora is just a children's show through and through. It's just not a good time to watch if you're not a little toddler. And I think that's the same effect that most children's cartoons have these days. They're just trying to be too towards children, which is why nobody likes them who isn't a child. But older cartoons that were for children could be enjoyed by everybody because they weren't specifically made for kids. Some of them even have very, like, hidden adult meanings sometimes, which is another debate in and of itself. Like Tom and Jerry, you know? That's not really a kitty cartoon because they're trying to kill each other, you know? They're smacking each other, albeit very cartoony and it's not gory or whatever. But it's fun for everybody to watch because it's just goofy. You know, everybody appreciates Goofy no matter what age you are. And another example of an older cartoon that I seen when I was little that just doesn't stand up to the test of time whatsoever now is Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse. It's very similar to Dora, and it just sucks because Dora and Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse are just so dumb. It's just so dumbified for children. It's like, we need to dig a grave for Grandma. What do we use, a shovel or a goldfish? A shovel, that's right. Now, can we spell shovel? Is it S-H-O-V-E-L or is it C-H-I-C-K-E-N? S-H-O-V-E-L, that's right, shovel. Now, how do we use a shovel? We grab it and we stick it into the ground, or we put it on the ground and we shove it up our anus. That's right, we dig with it. Those kind of shows just are obviously for children, and they're not going to be good when you get older. And that's really the only cases of old cartoons not standing up to the test of time. I know this is a dumb debate to have, but I'm just so passionate about this subject because I love cartoons. I think most people love cartoons. And I forgot to mention that this whole debate doesn't involve adult cartoons like Family Guy, Simpsons, American Dad, all that kind of stuff, because those aren't meant for kids. I'm talking about specifically childhood cartoons. Now, you might have watched them when you were a kid, but I'm only talking about children's cartoons in this video. But that's a whole nother debate entirely that I don't really want to have because I'm getting wore out just arguing about children's cartoons to a camera that can't say anything back. But I think I've made my point as clear as I can get it across. I think old cartoons are objectively better, and not just because you see them through rose-tinted glasses, not just because of the nostalgia effect. I just think they're objectively better. You know, the new cartoons are very much so directed towards children, while the old ones were just good cartoons. You know, they weren't really meant for any specific age range, which is why they're enjoyed by so many. Even to this day, I can go back and watch most of the older cartoons, even ones I haven't seen before. Like I mentioned, Looney Tunes, the old Looney Tunes I hadn't watched a lot of, and even like Samurai Jack. I go back and watch those kind of shows, and I enjoy them. Johnny Bravo, even. But the new cartoons, I cannot watch them. I don't remember the names of most of them, but I do remember watching some of them, and they're not good. I just don't enjoy them whatsoever. And I know I'm speaking for the defense of old cartoons, but I tried to give new cartoons a chance, and most of them just didn't stack up, you know? It's like the 5'11 versus 6 foot meme, the Obama monument versus the Washington monument. Old cartoons are just bigger and better in every way, and that's just a fact. So the final verdict would be, the people who argue that old cartoons are only better because you're growing up and you don't want to accept you're growing up and you don't want to think new cartoons are good. No, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're an idiot, put your dunce cap on and go sit in the corner on your naughty stool, put your nose in the corner, you're in timeout. That is a horrible take. That is a bad take. Now movies, that would be a separate debate. I don't like a lot of older movies, but cartoons, don't disrespect old cartoons. You spit on them, I spit on you. So I think that's all the main points I want to get across. I'm sure I could ramble on for about another hour about this topic, but objectively, old cartoons are better. If you think they're not, shut up. This is my channel, and you have no say here. This is not a democracy. This is a tyranny. I'm the dictator. I tell you what to do, and you do it. If you have any opposing views to me and you comment them, I may just delete them. So it's only a worship comment section, worshiping old cartoons. And your comments will never be seen, because I have that power. But yeah, I'm going to end it here. I'll catch you next time. Peace out.